Good day, everyone. The Beatitudes from Matthew's Gospel, as you know, are 8 statements beginning with the word blessed. Those blessed didn't have to do anything to attain this blessing. Jesus simply declares that they have already been blessed. Let's look at each one of the Beatitudes quickly. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. The poor in spirit are those who cast themselves on God's grace. In its deepest form, it acknowledges our desperate need for God. Jesus then is declaring that it is a blessing to recognize our need to be filled by God's grace. Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. People do not normally think of mourning as a blessing. It is a great sorrow, usually. But with the coming of the kingdom, mourning does become a blessing, because when the affliction of mourning deepens our relationship with God, mourning becomes a blessing indeed. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Many assume that the term meek means weak or deficient in courage. The biblical understanding of meekness is power under God's control. Power under God's control means a refusal to inflate our own self-estimation and a hesitancy to assert ourselves only for ourselves. It also means that when we curb our urge to avenge the wrongs done against us and instead use the power we have with God's grace to serve others. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness. They will be satisfied. Hunger is a sign of life. We are genuinely hungry for good relationships if we yearn for others for their own sake, with God's grace, and not only for how they can meet our own needs. Blessed are the merciful, for they will receive mercy. Mercy consists in treating people better than they deserve, helping someone we have no obligation to help, and practicing forgiveness. Mercy in all of these was the driving force of Jesus' birth, death, and resurrection. Simply, God's love and mercy shown to each of us very clearly. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. Purity of heart arises not from our own perfection, but from our openness to God's grace. Purity of heart goes hand in hand with personal integrity. The pure in heart can perceive the reality of God in everyday life. This helps them to work at having their actions and words be accurate reflections of what is in their hearts and souls. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. Every Christian has the task of conflict resolution. Conflicts arise whenever people have differences of opinion. In a fallen world, the tendency is to ignore conflict or suppress it by using force, threat, or intimidation. In God's kingdom, it is a blessing to bring people together who are in conflict. Only then is it possible to resolve the conflict and restore the relationships. Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake. This final beatitude may strike us as being a bit negative. Unfortunately, the forces that oppose God's ways still hold great power in this world. If we fail through our own fault, we should expect negative consequences. But Jesus is speaking here about the blessing of being persecuted for doing the right thing. If a person speaks up for or befriends a person or people who are victims of gossip or discrimination, expect persecution. The 8th Beatitude serves as a reminder to us that working in a fallen world and living in a fallen world requires courage. So when we live as people of blessing, we share God's light and love with those we meet. This is the task we have as followers of Jesus. Have a blessed week.